Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 70. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Louie La Vella, a speaker, author, event producer, a coach with 20 plus years experience. Hello Louie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Excellent.
I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, what you did before you started your online business, or take up to the last job or business you are online?
Yeah, I started my own business in the entertainment industry when I was about 17 or 18 years old. So in college, pretty much, just starting out. Everybody has a part-time job. You either work in a grocery store or a bartender, something like that. I worked in the nightclub industry as an event producer. So I was basically a promoter, worked with other promoters, putting on parties and, of course, renting other venues and booking DJs. And that's kind of where I started. In between that till now, I had a quick jump to a corporate gigs where I was flying around the US and Canada as a marketing executive. But that was, to me, even though it was full time during the day for about a year and a half, I was still working in the nightclub industry on the weekends because that was where my passion was. So I left that corporate job and continued on as an entrepreneur and never looked back. I produced radio shows, was on radio around the world, produced and was a host on national television. And now to this day, working with record labels and musicians and large festivals, no longer really nightclubs anymore, and helping them with their marketing and filling seats and selling tickets and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's been a really fun journey.
Wow, that's a great background, Louie.
Yeah, it's fun.
Very fun. Okay. Why do you do what you do, flying all over the place, doing all? Don't you ever one day and think, I'm tired and I'm going to sit down?
Well, the fun thing is where I'm in my end of the business, I don't necessarily have to be the partier anymore. For the most part, I can consult and I can just teach festivals what to do or be their marketing director. And at the festival, I'm very busy wandering around making sure the event is going well, but I'm no longer the big partier, which is kind of good. And it's probably why it keeps me in this business very successful. I'm not necessarily partying all the time at all, which is probably what keeps me going and alive.
Okay. All right. Let's put man aside. How did you know that you are successful?
I think when you can sort of do what you want to do, I can sit here on the podcast in my home and record something and be a part of something very, very great, when I can decide what clients I want to take on, and if they're not, working with me well in the respects of they're not trying hard and I'm trying to make them money and I think maybe there's just no fit here business wise, I can remove them and continue to do other clients or gain new clients. When you have that sort of control, to me, that's successful. Again, when I have such a message that I can be on 45, 50 podcasts in 3 months because it's got a fun message and it shares with other business owners. I can speak in big rooms. People want to come to my website and learn and discuss with me fun marketing ideas and business ideas. I think that's a level of success because you have a little bit of something to give back, and it has nothing to do with money at that point, right?
You've been in the business since you were 17. Do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur, or some are more cut for it than others?
I always have this answer that you cannot teach entrepreneurship, which is always going against the grain of schools and whatnot. I think you absolutely can learn business and you can learn, proper business and how to do things. But to me, the entrepreneur now, and maybe in school that is brought out of you. But to me, I've always been a big fan of you are either an entrepreneur or you're not, because when failures happen, your brain automatically can figure out how to pivot, fix, and move on. You don't worry about the failures as much. If there's no money there, in your head, you think, yeah, but money's going to come somehow because I can create money out of thin air. I'm an entrepreneur, right? It's like being an inventor of business. So to me, it's such a big difference in mindset between being a business owner and an entrepreneur. It's just something that you can't teach. Now, there's maybe ways to bring it out of somebody, but if that person's not an entrepreneur at heart, I just don't think you can teach them that. Same as a great singer. You're either a fantastic singer or you're not. Now, singing class can bring out the singing in you. If you're not as good, you can get better, but you either have that raw talent and it's in you or it's not in you.
Wow. Okay. All right. You've been in a business for many years. Do you have a mentor?
I think my mentors are all the audiobooks I read, that kind of idea, because I love to audiobooks, not read. I listen to. I go through so many of them because I like to hear what other people are doing, what message they have, and how I can use that to my own business or my own person. So to me, it's been that. I think they in what I consider my mentors. Specifically, I haven't hired a mentor to help me, but mentors come in all walks of life. Whether it's your a teacher, whether it's your parents. My parents were both in business. My wife's a business person, and all of them are mentors in their own little respects.
Wow. What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
That's an interesting question. Most valuable thing I've ever given away. I guess my time. That's the most valuable thing that anybody can give away is their time. And for me, sometimes giving away my time to consult somebody or to help them out makes them a lot of money, and that has great value to them. But for me, being an entrepreneur and be able to kind of, like I mentioned earlier, pick and choose what I want to do and have freedom. When you're giving away some of that freedom by giving away some time, I think it's a really nice gesture, and I think hopefully it helps somebody else out. And I guess that's the most valuable thing you have. You can't buy time, right? That's something that's just there. You can't buy it, no matter how much money you have. You only have a certain amount of time. So to me, that's valuable.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about your business. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your tactics and tips on social marketing and how you apply from music side to other businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's happening a lot more that the entertainment industry, you can translate over to every business. I'm seeing that more and more. And I really think it's because of social media, a lot of people's behavior is allowing other businesses to be a little celebrity in their own level. Because of social media, people can follow that web designer, or they can follow the pizza place down the street, or they can follow the big famous musician or festival, and they have different levels of celebrity. But even if you follow your friends on Facebook or Instagram, what they do, you might be interested in. Everybody's a little media company now. You're putting posts on Facebook, you're putting posts on Instagram, and people want to see what you're doing, and they're excited about that. They want to engage with you. Now, of course, if you're an actual superstar DJ or you're a major festival, you have more people. So you're a lot more busier trying to manage that. But you do have to engage back. So for me, it's all about putting out the content that your audience wants to see. So you're not putting out stuff that doesn't resonate with them. So again, if you're a pizza place, you might have behind the scenes stuff of you twirling the dough. You might have beautiful pizza, images. You want to interact locally. If you're a massive festival, we're going to talk about the experience that you have at the festival, or you're going to talk about the DJs that are coming or the bands. But it's all about putting that out and then engaging with people. People are going to like things, they're going to comment, and that's extremely important for you to be there. Never automate things and just forget it. That's such a danger to use those services, and there's nothing wrong with using them to make your life easier, but always keep an eye on your posts because people are going to engage with them. You don't want to have your eyes and your ears closed and not be present. That's going to hurt your business. For me, I've built my entire business now on social media. At the beginning it wasn't there, but in the last whack of years, 5 to 10 years, it's been all social media. I'm able to advertise what I do, whether it's podcasts like this, and whether it's an article I write, whether it's me doing a speaking engagement, whether I'm at a festival, I can advertise that to my audience and show them what I know and the proof, and let them learn from me, and they will call me for help, and some of them will hire me. That's great business to business work. And of course, for them, musicians, or for festivals or any company, it's up to them to do the same thing and build their celebrity status to everybody else, and to use the ad platforms and to use social media in that respect. It all comes out to your brand. So any way you can continue to grow your brand and think about how a celebrity, you got to be in front of them all the time. You have to connect with them as fans, and you have to engage with them. People love that on social media.
What is your favorite marketing social media platform?
I think for me, Facebook and Instagram are the biggest, especially because I'm in entertainment. Most of my clients are on there, and most of the consumers are on them too. Snapchat is a very close third. I used to be on LinkedIn and Twitter a lot more, but I found that while everybody has accounts there, they're not necessarily playing in that sandbox, as I can make an example, as much. They're on Facebook a lot. For a marketing standpoint, the consumers are all on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook. So that's where a lot of club owners or festival owners are. They're using it. They're advertising. They're posting. So they see their friends. So that's where I advertise too as well. And that's where I seem to be getting the most success from. Now, everybody's going to be different. So I always get the question, which is the best platform? And the answer is where your audience is. I have people that their audience is all on LinkedIn. Like they're always on LinkedIn. They're in those groups, they're chatting, they're back and forth, and they're messaging. So that's to them the number one platform. Different for me, different for you, different from everybody.
Wow. Well, you've been in the music industry, but you've been lucky that you can apply your experiences to other businesses. What gave you that? How did you learn that? Or are you just talented and gifted?
Hopefully both. I see the similarities of what a person does now, especially on social media, because that's the big marketing thing right now. Obviously, I can learn and see what's happening in their behavior. So for me to be in entertainment industry and understand a certain audience, whatever age group it is or whatever music they like, and know if I put this series of posts out on social media, they will interact with it and start to love the brand and maybe buy a ticket or download a song or things like that. But I can see the same behavior happening to, like I mentioned earlier, other businesses, pizza place, a flower shop, a web designer, a consultant, especially when I did it for myself. So a 22-year-old person who likes a DJ and buys a ticket, to me has the same behavior now as a 45-year-old business owner that I have to connect with to get them to hire me. I'm thinking this could apply everywhere. My wife has a few businesses that I'm, obviously helping her out with some of her marketing, and I'm applying some of these same techniques there, and they're working really, really well. One is a food festival, one is a book and a daily planner, completely different from the entertainment industry. But I'm applying this celebrity kind of mentality. Let's build the branding up. Let's make it a cool brand. Let's target properly. Let's build the right strategy on social media, and it's working really well. And so I'm giving that same advice to a lot of different businesses, and it's always working really well. I just think that's how people are nowadays. We've all changed to want to connect somehow. And if somebody has the mini celebrity status, they get very excited to know that person and very excited to have somebody engage with them. Oh man, I liked their tweet and they liked it back. They think that's great, right? Because there's an engagement now. Whereas before, you would never be able to engage with any business owner, right? Really, unless you called them or went into their shop. But now it's real time and it's constant. And that's exactly what happens in the celebrity status, where they're always in the news and they have to get on TMZ and they have to make sure they're in the news and they have to have front of mind awareness. But now you can connect very quickly on social media. And I can see that happen in every industry.
Wow. Okay. Before we go too far, do you think that the whole industry is going to be like moving, using more social in a few more years to come? Yeah,
I think social media is going to be, in my opinion, the best and maybe one of the only places to market. One of the strongest. There's nothing wrong with traditional media still, but there's a lot of tuning out. So you see television commercials, people are either grabbing their phone anyways and then going to social media during the commercials, or they switch channels to another channel, or maybe they don't even watch the commercials because they get Netflix, right? And being on demand. That's an old school way of doing broadcast, where we're going to tell you at 8:00 it's airing and that's when you watch it. We want it on demand. We want to go to Netflix or wherever it is and watch it when we're ready, whether it's 10 minutes after 8 or whether it's the next day or whatever it is. That's what, same with music. We'll go to Spotify or Apple Music and we'll build a playlist that we want and we'll listen to it when we want. We don't really want to listen to radio as much, where they're telling us what to hear and they're playing the same songs over and over and over again. Now, of course, this is still early to say that radio and TV are dead. They probably will never, ever die. But because of that stuff happening, the advertising attention is getting worse. So, if I'm advertising on TV or radio, while they have such a large net, they have a large reach still, what are the odds of somebody actually listening to radio now? You have to discuss if your audience is actually listening to radio, and if they are, now how many of them are actually going to listen to the commercial, right? So you have to break that down. It's one thing to say, well, here's our ratings. We get, 100,000 listeners during a Friday. Yeah, great. But how many of those are listening to the commercial time now, right? So people might still listen to radio to listen about new music. They listen to the host, what's the weather, and all that kind of fun stuff. But when it goes to the commercial, what's that percentage now? So that's starting to cut down quite a bit. So to me, with social media, that fan wants to engage with you. We didn't force it down their throat, right? And if you're doing ads and they don't know about you yet, you got to put out good content. It can't just be another ad, or they will turn you off and not want to engage with you. It has to be good content, whether it's a song, whether it's an image that's going to tell you about a new festival. It can't just be a flyer. And then you can advertise that to the right target market, and it'll get in their newsfeed. You can't do that with radio. I can't force them to listen to my ad or really pick exactly who my audience is. I want a 21-year-old girl that is having a birthday this week. Cannot do that in any other medium. You can do it on social media. So to me, that's going to be the big player. In my demographics, it is the big player already. I can just see that happening in every demographic, in every business, when people are starting to realize that you can do that.
Wow. Okay. What is the type of customers or clients do you take on?
Mostly festivals now. So large festivals that, like I mentioned, we have like 8-10 months worth of planning. That's a lot of fun to work with. We build a lot of marketing campaigns for the big day, usually in the summer. And I start planning like in September. Those are great clients to have. I work with those quite a bit now. I do now have more musicians and record labels where they have releases and they have a budget to spend, hopefully for the most part. And they don't know how or where to spend that. They don't know how to build a strategy yet, because it is, while social media is huge for music, I think there's many labels out there that are still not utilizing the same techniques that I would use for a festival to release a song now. So even that bridges from that piece of the entertainment industry to the next. I think that a lot of them are just putting their track out on Facebook and saying, here it is. But to me, when I can build the fan excitement and I can take them through an emotional train for 4 to 6 weeks, and then the song gets launched, I put them through a launch sequence. It works so much better. So I'm getting a lot of excitement from that area of the industry on, wow, I didn't know you can actually do and make some money on music. I thought everybody stole music, right? So you can, and you can build a fan base. So they'll buy your merchandise and they'll go to your shows. They'll download and listen to your music, right? You just need to do the right strategy. So those are really the clients I'm taking on now. And of course, I do some speaking engagements as well. So that's kind of the third client that I take on. Nightclubs and bars, I have a very small handful of them right now, just because I'm so busy with the other pieces of the pie now. And those are larger pieces of business, where nightclub and bar, while it's great money still, it's a lot of daily work. We have events every week instead of once a year for the amount of money. So I do some of those, but very rare. It has to be a very good fit that I will take on a nightclub and bar now.
Wow. Where do we find you?
I'm all over social media, obviously. And of course, my website has all my information, my blog articles, podcasts like this I will list and whatnot. And it's all my first and last name. So Louie La Vella, that's LouieLavella. So LouieLaVella.com, or at Louie La Vella on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat.
Okay. So, Clan, there will be more from Louie in a moment. If you are finding Louie's journey interesting and you are ready to hear more, come and listen to the full version of the interview at onlinesuccessjourney.com. If you are on an online success journey already, click on part 2 at Louie's journey and you'll get more tips to help you with your own branding. And don't forget, you can listen to all other online success interview podcasts on the site as well. That's a wrap, Clan. Remember, success is a journey, patience and Louie.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey Clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.